Hey everyone, today you're going to see the overview of family-based green card process. This is going to be a general overview. In the next series of educational videos, I'm going to explain every step in more detail. But today, I'm going to give you a bird's eye view on the general process on the map, and then everything else will come later. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so you do not miss any upcoming videos. Let's get started. But first, a couple of important distinctions that you need to understand before we move into the process overview. The first distinction is the difference between an immediate relative versus a family preference category. Now, an immediate relative of a US citizen includes a spouse, an unmarried child under 21 years old, and a parent of a US citizen who is at least 21 years old. Okay? Any other family relationship like a child over 21 years old or a sibling like a sister or a brother, they fall into what's called family preference category. The difference is that immediate relatives are not subject to yearly visa caps or limitations, and that's why their case generally moves faster. The second distinction is the difference between adjustment of status versus consular processing. Okay? This depends where the beneficiary, the person who's trying to get the permanent residency, is located. So if the person is located in the United States and they're eligible, which I'll explain the criteria in another video, but let's say they're in the United States, they generally go through a process called adjustment of status, which is a process where they can get their green card while staying and working in the United States without having to leave the country. If not, if the person is outside the United States, then they go through a consular processing, which is a very similar process. It's just handled by the National Visa Center and the US Embassy in their country. All right, so first let's go through an adjustment of status process if the person is inside the United States. If you understand this, then the consular processing is extremely similar. The first step is to file I-130 form with the relationship evidence. This is the relationship petition. Here, we're basically trying to prove that there is an existing relationship, okay? For a marriage-based case, this is going to aim at two things. The evidence is going to aim at two things. The first is to prove that there is a legal marriage that exists, which is obvious. And then the second, which is the most important part throughout this whole process, now and also later, is to prove that this relationship is bona fide, meaning it was entered in good faith and not for immigration benefits. Now, I'll show you how you can show this and why most people fail here and later to prove their bona fide marriage in another video. But we're basically trying to prove that there is a relationship that exists and that the relationship is real. After I-130 is approved, then we move into filing the actual green card application, which for adjustment of status is going to be I-485, along with other documentations like affidavit of support. This is going to be the financial proof. This is to show that the intended immigrant has adequate means of support and is not likely to become a public charge. In simple words, the person has adequate financial support and is not likely to depend on the government's money. The second, medical examination, is to show that the person does not have any disqualifying health conditions. This is very rare, but this is just part of the procedure. Also, we're going to file I-765 for work authorization and I-131 for advanced parole and travel authorization. So you can work and travel while you're in the United States and waiting for your application to be approved. After this, the applicant will be scheduled for biometrics, so USCIS can run background and identity checks. And then after all of this filing is done and biometrics, we wait for the interview. Now, while you're waiting, USCIS may issue a request for evidence if any documentation is missing or insufficient, meaning they need more proof about something, or a notice of intent to deny if they believe this case should be denied unless the issue that they found in this process is overcome. Now, if you're working with an immigration attorney, they'll take care of all of this and they'll help you with this, so you don't need to worry about it. And then after the waiting, there's going to be an interview scheduled. For the interview, USCIS generally requires both the petitioner and the applicant to appear. For a marriage-based case, they're going to focus on two things. First, to see if the marriage exists, very obvious, and second, to test if it's bona fide, if it's real and genuine. Now, there are many ways how officers do this, and we'll go over common ways how they do it and how to prepare best for these interviews in another video. And then after the interview is done, then we wait for the decision. It's either going to be an approval, a denial, or a temporary hold if there is more processing needed. I hope this video was valuable. If you have different questions, if you want to know how this process will work for you, for your spouse, for your kids specifically, there's a link down below this video. Go ahead, book your own consultation where we're going to do a deep dive in your situation and learn as much as possible about your case in detail. And then based on all of that, we're going to give you a specific pathway and show you how this will work for you personally. Go ahead, book your own consultation, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.